Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's the spirit. Before I get started, I want to start by just thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making this gathering possible. None of us would have been able to be here without His permission. And while we praise each other, it's important to remember that we are tools for Allah's work and the destiny that He wants. I'd like to thank you, brother. I was quite nervous when I came in because when you enter a new community, you don't really know what to expect, and I'm not so familiar with this new group of people as Osman is. But when I stepped in and I heard the Quran and I heard the salawat, it reminded me that I am among my family. All of you are my family. I'm a Muslim sister. In a big capacity, I've experienced a lot of the same experience that you have. I grew up in Denmark and I've faced a lot of racism, a lot of Islamophobia, and it was very, very comforting to hear the words of Allah, and it's a beautiful reminder of the spirit of the people in this room. I want to thank everyone for coming today, for taking the time out in your weekend, and I want to thank Osman for coming all the way from Geneva, and his father, Nur Hussein, for arranging this event. It's good to get to know you better because you're a brilliant organizer. So I'm just here to briefly tell you about the civilian agenda. I don't have this energy that the Kashmir people have, mashallah. I was born and raised in Denmark, which makes me a little bit colder, I think. But so the civilian agenda is a non-for-profit organization, and we advocate for civilian protection in armed conflicts. And our main goal is to bridge the civilian narrative and the happenings on the ground with the media, and also the civilian experience in diplomatic spaces, as Osman has explained. Now, there's a very big problematic sentiment when we're discussing the experiences of civilians who are affected by war, and that is that civilians are very often spoken about, but they're not spoken to. And that's really the sentiment that we want to combat, because the consequence of that is that civilians are not listened to, and if they are, in the very odd occasion, they're not really heard, and therefore our wishes are not honored and they're not respected. Now, our approach are two ways. One is through creating films, which is quite a straightforward approach, giving more airtime, but not just to anybody. We're giving airtime to directors from affected communities. These narratives need to be told by people who are directly affected, not by another white man who holds the microphone. The second approach that we have is advocating within the United Nations and other international forums, wherever that might be. I think everyone in this room agrees that we need to see a drastic change, not just in the mass media, but on the political front, and most of all in how we organize ourselves as people. And it really does make me smile to see the spirit of this room, to see the engagement. It really filled me with so much hope today. And I want to thank you all again. And I'd like to end this, inshallah, with a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said that he who alleviates the suffering of a brother, God will ease his suffering on the day of resurrection. And I pray, inshallah, that Allah helps us and guides us with the sincerity of our hearts and protects us from arrogance in this journey that we're about to embark on, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Uldduz Sohrabi. माशाल्लाह, very good speech. अब मुसरल दुआ है, उसके बाद प्रोग्राम का अख्ताम है। तो मैं चौधरी नूर सैन साहब की तरफ से जितने भी बैरिस्टर हज़रात तशरीफ़ फरमा हुए